Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about metallic bonding. Metallic bonding, and we continue with hydrogen bonding also. Okay. So metallic bonding is nothing but the bond between metal atoms and metal atoms. The metal atom versus metal atom is what? Metallic bond. If you take non-metal versus non-metal, generally covalent bond will be formed. Between non-metal atom, covalent bond is formed. Between metal atom, metallic bond is formed. Okay, if you take two metals, okay, metal atoms generally will have either one electron, two electrons, or three electrons in the valence shell. One electron, two electrons, or three electrons will be present in the outermost orbit of metals generally. So here, one electron, two electron, three electron. If you take, suppose you take sodium. In sodium, how many valence electrons? Only one valence electron will be there. Sodium electronic configuration 11. So 1s2, 2s2 means atomic number 11. So electronic configuration, how we can write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1 up to this electronic configuration. Then third orbit will also have what? 3p0. 3p orbitals will be there, but no electrons in this. Empty orbitals. Empty orbitals. 3d0. In 3d orbitals will be there in third orbit, but they are not occupied with electrons. So in the outermost orbit of sodium, empty orbitals are there many. Okay, many empty orbitals are there, and one orbital, 3s orbital, is filled with one electron in sodium metal. Like this, number of valence electrons may be one or two or three generally in the metals. Now, the metal, when two metal atoms approach each other, one metal cannot lose electrons to other metal. So electron transfer cannot take place. So ionic bond is not possible between metal atom and metal atom. That is one thing. Because both are electropositive elements. Both will try to form positive ions only. No metal will form negative ion by gaining electron. Therefore, the transfer of electrons is not possible between metal atoms. Then, if you take what is sodium, sodium one electron, two atoms of sodium. Now, this sodium will contribute one electron and sodium contributes one electron, and sharing is possible between metals? No, sharing also is not possible between metals. So here, generally non-metal atom, when they approach each other, both the atoms will give one electron. Imagine Cl versus Cl, both Cl atoms. Now Cl gives one electron, Cl gives one electron, and two electrons will be shared by both the atoms. But like that, in sodium case, it is not possible. Okay, so the sharing is not possible between the two metal atoms, and also the transfer of electrons is not possible. Therefore, what we have to understand is that, so we have to take it the important point that between metal atom, only special type of bond called metallic bond exists. Okay, so in this metallic bond, what we have to understand is that if you take the same sodium metal, in sodium crystal, small piece of sodium solid, there will be many atoms like this. Sodium atoms will be there closely packed. All the sodium atoms are closely packed. Okay, then generally sodium metal will be in which type of structure here? BCC. BCC stands for body centered cube. Body centered cube. Sodium metal crystal. Okay, so in this, all the metal atoms are very closely packed in the form of a cube, which is called body centered cube. That we will discuss in solid state lesson. Now, in this case, now sodium has one valence electron. Here it is outermost orbit. One valence electron is there. Remaining, these all electrons, 10 electrons. These 10 electrons are called core electrons. Core electrons meaning what? Inner electrons. Other than valence electron, remaining all electrons are called core electrons. So if you take sodium, sodium atom, it is sodium atom here. Sodium atom is taken, and the sodium atom loses one electron, suppose. After losing one electron, it becomes what? Na plus ion. This Na plus ion contains what? The 2 electrons of first orbit, 8 electrons of second orbit. So 10 electrons will be there. These 10 electrons forming what? Core electrons. So the nucleus of sodium plus these inner electrons together taken as what? Kernel. 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 Kernel meaning what? The nucleus plus core electrons together known as kernel. So the sodium atom, how it can be distinguished, means how it can be divided into two parts here. This first orbit, second orbit, and nucleus together what now here? Kernel. And this one electron of the outermost orbit. So one valence electron, one valence electron, and this kernel we have to imagine. Now what happens in the sodium atom? Each sodium atom here in the metal will lose what? One electron to form Na plus ion. Na plus ion is formed here. Now this metal ions will be there, means kernels will be there. Metal kernel will be there and electrons will be there in what is sodium metal. In metal solid, in metallic solid, there will metallic crystal we say. In metallic crystal solid, there will be many metal atoms closely packed and all the metal atoms lose electrons. Suppose if you take small piece of metal, in that millions of atoms will be present. Each atom, suppose each atom of sodium is losing suppose one electron. So millions of sodium atoms lose millions of electrons. Okay, so each sodium is losing one electron now. So in the small piece of sodium itself, there will be millions of electrons coming from millions of atoms. In this way, these all electrons are moving throughout the crystal. Throughout the crystal solid, the electrons are continuously moving. They are called delocalized electrons. They are called delocalized electrons. They are not localized at one position. They are delocalized. They are moving from one place to other place. Throughout the surface of the metal crystal, the electrons will be moving. Okay, so because of these electrons, the metal shining will be there. The lustrous nature. Okay, the brightness of the shining of metal surface is due to what? These free electrons. Now from every metal, one electron is coming, suppose sodium metal, and many electrons are there in the sodium metal crystal, suppose. These all electrons will form electron pool. Electron POOL, pool. So electron pool will be created inside the metal. Okay, so this electron pool contains what? All the free electrons, mobile electrons, delocalized electrons. Okay, now between the electrons, between the delocalized electrons and nucleus, between nucleus of every metal and the electrons of electron pool cloud we say, electron pool cloud. The all electrons will be entering into that electron pool cloud. So between that electrons and the nucleus of every metal, there will be attractive force. This attractive force is called what? This attractive force is called metallic bonding. So the kernel is positively charged or negatively charged by the metal. Kernel means what I am saying, 11 protons in the nucleus. In the nucleus, what will be there here? 11 protons will be there. So 11 protons means plus 11 by 11 protons. Each proton you take plus 1 charge. 11 protons will be having plus 11 and 10 electrons, core electrons. Inner electrons, how many? 2 plus 8, 10 electrons. 10 electrons meaning what? Minus 10. Minus 10 plus 11. The overall charge will be what? Plus 1. The metal, sodium metal kernel has what? Plus 1 charge. Between this metal kernel and this electron, what will be the attractive force or repulsive force? Attractive force will be there. So that attractive force between the metal kernels, positively charged metal kernels, and the electrons in the electron pool is called what? That attractive force is called what? Metallic bonding. So this is about metallic bonding. Okay, ma'am. So we continue with hydrogen bonding and also we enter into the metallic bonding. So hydrogen bonding we discussed now. Hydrogen bonding means what? The bond, attractive force between the hydrogen atom of one molecule and what? More electronegative atom like fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes Cl. So this is what now here electrostatic attractive force between the sodium metal, hydrogen atom and other electronegative atom is called what? Hydrogen bonding. So nature and importance of hydrogen bonding. Yesterday we discussed the types of hydrogen bonding. So in this now, hydrogen bond is an electrostatic force rather than chemical bond. So rather than chemical bond, it is what hydrogen bonding is what simply merely an electrostatic force of attraction. Next, hydrogen bond never involves more than 2 atoms. Between only 2 atoms, the hydrogen bond is possible. Either hydrogen and fluorine or hydrogen and oxygen or hydrogen and nitrogen like this. Between 2 atoms only it will be possible. And bond energy of hydrogen bond is in the range of 3 to 10 kilocalories. 3 to 10 kilocalories. Each calorie, 1 calorie is equal to how many joules, man? 4.2 joules. 1 calorie is equal to 4.2 joules. Okay. So like this, what here 3 to 10 kilocalories, 3 to 10 kilocalories per mole will be the hydrogen bonding energy. Okay, ma? So hydrogen bonding energy will be hydrogen bonding will be what now here 3 to what 3 to 10 kilocalories per mole. That is what 10 to 40 kilojoules per mole. So 3 kilocalorie means 3 into kilo 4.2 joules. In place of calorie, what we can write 4.2 joules we can write. So like that we can take in 10 to 40 kilojoules per mole and 3 to 10 kilocalorie per mole we can take here. Okay, and this is what now here 1/10 of the energy of covalent bond. So covalent bond range will be 50 to 100 kilocalorie per mole. Covalent bond strength, the bond energy of covalent bond will be in between 50 to 100, whereas 50 to 100 watt kilocalorie per mole, whereas hydrogen bonding energy will be 3 to 10 kilocalorie only. If you take 10 kilocalories for hydrogen bonding bond energy, and for covalent, if you take 100 kilocalorie per mole covalent bond energy, then what will be the relation here? The hydrogen bond energy is 1/10 of 1/10 of the bond energy of covalent bond. The next point what we have to understand is that with the increase of electronegativity and decrease in size of the atom to which hydrogen is covalently linked, okay, the strength of hydrogen bond increases. Now you check it here. Here hydrogen is covalently bonded with fluorine atom. Here hydrogen is covalently bonded with oxygen atom. Here hydrogen is covalently bonded with nitrogen atom. Here between nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine, among the nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine, which one is small sized atom? Fluorine. Fluorine is what here? Small sized atom. And also which is more electronegative atom? Fluorine only, more electronegative atom. So more electronegative atom and small sized atom. So if electronegativity of the atom attached to hydrogen is more, otherwise if the size of the atom attached to hydrogen is less, that stronger hydrogen bonding will be there here. This hydrogen bonding will be stronger bond. The hydrogen bond will be stronger if electronegativity of the other atom is more and if the size of the other atom is less. So HF, HO, HN. Among these nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, fluorine has more electronegativity and small size. That's why here 10 kilocalorie per mole is observed. In this case, 7 kilocalorie per mole. Here 2 kilocalorie per mole. Now energy of some hydrogen bonds in neutral molecules are given here. In this case, the bond type is given and the bond energy, approximate bond energy given, means average value of bond energy is given. Now if you check here, HF is what covalent bond you check. HF is what this dash is what covalent bond between hydrogen and fluorine. And this is what dotted lines indicating what hydrogen bonding between oxygen and hydrogen. Okay. So a hydrogen bonding and covalent bond, not with same elements. Hydrogen is having covalent bond with fluorine and hydrogen bond with oxygen. Remember, here how much is observed? 40 to 45 kilojoules. 40 to 45 kilojoules per mole energy observed. And if you take now here another case, HF covalent bond, HF hydrogen bond, HF hydrogen bond here, HF covalent bond. Here hydrogen is having covalent bond with fluorine, hydrogen bond also is with fluorine. In this case, what is observed value? 23 to 25 kilojoules per mole. So this way, these values you try to observe, need not by heart. Okay. So later you can go through it. I will send this PPT. So all the three atoms. Okay. Suppose you take fluorine, hydrogen, fluorine. So fluorine, hydrogen, again fluorine. Fluorine, this is covalent bond. This is hydrogen bond. The fluorine, hydrogen, again fluorine will be always in what? Straight line. Okay. They lie in straight line. Without hydrogen bonding, water would have existed as what? A gas, like hydrogen sulfide. Okay, in that case, no life would have been possible on this earth. Hydrogen bonding exists in what? Molecules having what? Organism. So in many organisms, many molecules are there in our body. Between the molecules of our body also, there will be hydrogen bonding. And between water molecules also, hydrogen bonding is there. Because of hydrogen bonding only between water, the water is existing as liquid. As water is existing as liquid only, the life on the earth is supported. If the H2O is not bonded by hydrogen bonding, suppose the H2O will be existing in which state now? Gaseous state. If H2O is gaseous substance like H2S in the same group, we cannot have what? Water in liquid state, and life cannot be existing. So hydrogen bonding is very important for supporting our life. And properties explained by hydrogen bonding. See here, suppose you take first point, high boiling point and melting points of ammonia, water and HF in comparison to the hydrates of other elements of same group. A nitrogen central atom is which group? 15th group. 15th group. And oxygen central atom belongs to which group? 16th group. Group 16. And fluorine belongs to what? Group 17, halogens. Like this, here Roman number 5A, nitrogen. Roman number 6A, oxygen here. Roman number 7A is the group of fluorine. So here in these groups, other compounds of hydrogen will be having what? Gaseous state, suppose, and these are having what? They are having less attractive force between the molecules, but between the NH3 molecules, more attraction because of hydrogen bonding. Between the H2O molecules, more attraction because of hydrogen bonding. Between HF molecules also, more attractive force because of hydrogen bonding. So because of existence of hydrogen bonding among these three molecules, okay, so these three molecules will behave differently from the hydrates of same group elements. Now what are the hydrates of same group elements here for NH3? PH3, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Here oxygen group elements what? Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. Fluorine group what? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. So in this way, other hydrates of same group will be having no hydrogen bonding. They cannot have hydrogen bonding because of less electronegativity. Why nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine having hydrogen bonding? Because of more electronegativity. So that point mainly we have to keep in mind. Okay. So then what now? H2O exists in liquid state under ordinary conditions, means at room temperature, while H2S in gaseous state. As hydrogen bonding exists in water and no hydrogen bonding exists in H2S. H2S is what? Hydrogen sulfide is what generally known as rotten egg smelling gas. Rotten egg smelling gas. And if you take after NH3, what is the hydrate next in the same group? PH3. PH3 is what? Phosphine. PH3, phosphine, which is a gas. That gas is called rotten fish smelling gas. Rotten fish smelling gas is what? PH3. That is gas, but NH3 is liquid. Here H2S is a gas, but H2O is liquid. Okay, like this HF also will be associated with hydrogen bonding. So because of this association between the molecules, the liquid state is obtained here. So H2O is associated liquid or normal liquid? Associated liquid. Why it is associated liquid? Actually H2O should be in gaseous state, but because of hydrogen bonding, all the H2O molecules are associated closer to each other to form associated liquid. That point keep in mind. Next, the second property which can be explained by hydrogen bonding is that unique properties of water and ice are due to hydrogen bonding. The special properties are due to hydrogen bonding here. Density of ice is lesser than what? Water. That's why ice will float on the water. Ice floats on the water though ice is solid, because the density of ice is less than what? The density of water. And water contracts when heated between 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. Generally, when we heat any substance from 0 to 1 degree, 1 to 2 degree, 2 to 4 degree, what happens? Expansion should take place. The substance should be expanding like this. The expansion of the substances should take place when they are heated from low temperature to high temperature. But here, when water is taken, when water is heated from 0 degrees to 4 degrees Celsius, okay, instead of expansion, the contraction takes place. The water will be contracting like this. The contraction takes place instead of expansion. This is anomalous behavior of what? Water. Anomalous behavior of water is what? The expansion. Instead of expansion, the water contracts when heated from 0 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius. Okay, that point we have to keep in mind. That means here when we are heating 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, then what is happening to volume? Volume is decreasing, contracting from 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. At 4 degrees Celsius, volume is less, or at 0 degrees Celsius, volume is less. At 4 degrees Celsius, volume is less because contraction has taken place. At 4 degrees Celsius, volume is less. What is density formula? Mass by volume. Density is equal to mass by volume. When volume is less at 4 degrees Celsius, the density of water should be maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. So the water has maximum density. Water has maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius, at 0 degrees Celsius. At 4 degrees Celsius, volume becomes less for water. That is why density becomes maximum. That is the important point to be understood here about water. These floating of ice on the water due to less density and contraction of water from 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. These are anomalous characters of what? Water and ice. These two are due to what? Hydrogen bonding. Okay, so these two unique properties are on account of what? Open cage structure of the ice. The ice has which type of structure? Open cage type of structure due to hydrogen bonding. That due to hydrogen bonding, it has cage-like structure. That is why density becomes lesser than water. That's why ice floats on water. And don't confuse with dry ice here. This ice is not dry ice. This ice is what? Solid state of H2O. Dry ice is what? The solid state of CO2. Solid CO2 is called dry ice. Remember that point. Next, another point what we can explain by hydrogen bonding is that the strength of certain acids and bases can be explained on the basis of hydrogen bonding. If there is hydrogen bonding, okay, what type of strength will be there? If hydrogen bonding is not there, one type of strength will be there. Okay. Then, solubility. Solubility of the substances can be explained by using what? Hydrogen bonding. So a substance is said to be insoluble in water if it does not form hydrogen bonding with water. If one substance is not able to form hydrogen bonding with water, that cannot be dissolved. Suppose alkenes. Alkenes, when dissolved in water, they cannot form hydrogen bonding with water. The alkenes cannot form hydrogen bonding with water. That is why the alkenes are not soluble in water. They cannot be dissolved. Both ethers and alkenes. Ethers and alkenes cannot be dissolved in water because of not able to form what? As they are not able to form hydrogen bonding with water. Okay, so these alkenes and ethers are insoluble in water as they cannot form hydrogen bonding with water. While alcohols, while ethyl alcohol you can take, alcohols and acids, alcohols and organic acids are soluble because they readily form hydrogen bonding with water. They readily form hydrogen bonding with water. Is sugar soluble in water or insoluble in water? Soluble in water. Glucose, sugar, all these. They are soluble in water due to what? Due to formation of hydrogen bonding with water. Okay. Not because sugar is ionic compound. Not because of sugar is ionic compound. Sugar is covalent compound. But sugar is able to form hydrogen bonding with water. That is why sugar is able to dissolve in water. And alcohol is soluble in water. Is that reason that alcohol is ionic compound? No. Alcohol is not ionic compound. It is covalent compound. But still, why it is soluble in water? Due to formation of hydrogen bonding with water. So this way we can explain what solubility of the substances in water. Next important note is that chlorine has the same electronegativity as nitrogen. Nitrogen electronegativity on Pauling scale is 3. Cl also has 3. Both electronegativities are same. But the Cl does not form hydrogen bonds, strong hydrogen bonds. Very weak hydrogen bonds will be formed by Cl. But nitrogen forms somewhat relatively stronger hydrogen bond. This is because of the larger size of the chlorine than that of nitrogen. Cl has larger size, nitrogen has smaller size. Nitrogen belongs to second period, outermost orbit is 2. Cl belongs to third period, outermost orbit is 3. So the size of Cl is larger. That's why it is not able to form stronger hydrogen bonding. So with the result, its electrostatic attractions are weak with the hydrogen. Between Cl and H, the weak attraction will be there. Weak hydrogen bonding will be formed. And now next topic is what? Metallic bonding. Metallic bonding. So in this metallic bonding, what we have to understand is the important area. So in metal crystal, one atom is surrounded by 8 other atoms or 12 other atoms. Suppose you take one metal atom. This metal atom will be surrounded by what? 8 atoms, other atoms, and or sometimes 12 atoms. This is called coordination number. If one metal atom is surrounded by 8 atoms, that is called coordination number is 8. Okay. Now with 8 atoms, each metal can form 8 covalent bonds by sharing electrons. Sodium metal, suppose imagine around the sodium metal, many other sodium are there here. With all the sodium, each sodium can give electron and share electron with other sodium. No, 8 bonds of covalent bonds cannot be formed by sodium. So when metal is surrounded by metal atom is surrounded by other 8 atoms or 12 atoms, okay, they cannot form what? 8 covalent bonds or 12 covalent bonds. At the same time, electron cannot be transferred. Electron cannot be transferred. Electron cannot be transferred from one place to other place here. Okay, so in this way, what we have to understand is that here, since in metals the valence electrons are very few, 1 or 2 or 3, it is not possible for a metal atom to form what? 8 covalent bonds or 12 covalent bonds with neighboring atoms. So first point we have to understand that metal cannot form covalent bonds. And in a metal crystal, all the atoms are identical. All atoms are sodium only, no other type of atoms. These atoms cannot be linked by electrovalent bonds, means ionic bonds. The between sodium atom, ionic bond cannot be present. Electrovalent bond cannot be present, as all have what? Same electronegativity. Okay, so these points you can read. And one point what we have to understand is that a theory was explained by Drude in 1900, and the same thing was modified by Lorentz in 1923 to explain the type of bonding in metals, that is metallic bonding. Okay, so this theory is known as what? Electron cloud theory, or electron pool theory, otherwise electron gas theory, we can say. Since the metals are electropositive, okay, as the ionization energy of metals is very less here, they readily lose what? The metals readily lose their valence electrons and converted into positive ions. So these electrons will be moving from place to place. When all metals lose electrons in the metal crystal solid, all the electrons lost will be moving from place to place through the empty valence orbitals. Now in case of sodium, 3p 0 there, 3d 0 there. Empty orbitals are there. Through that empty orbitals, these electrons will be moving from one place to one end to other end of the metal. Okay, so and what here, metals are completely closely packed in this. All the metal atoms are very closely packed to each other. Through the empty orbitals, the electrons are moving. So through the empty valence orbitals of the closed or closely packed metal ions, and are shared simultaneously among all of them. All the metal atoms, all the metal ions will be sharing what? These electrons in the electron pool. So thus these electrons link all the atoms together, forming what? A characteristic type of bond called metallic bond. So between metal ions and electrons, there will be metallic bonding. So as the shared electrons are delocalized means they are moving from one place to other place. The metallic bond has neither direction nor saturation. There is no specific direction for metallic bond. Ionic bond also is non-directional bond. Metallic bond also non-directional bond. But covalent bond is directional bond. Okay. So there are two essential conditions for metallic bond to form. Okay. The first condition is that the metal atoms should have low ionization energy. First condition is what? The metal atoms must be having low ionization potential, and there should be sufficient number of vacant orbitals in the valence shell. Means there should be empty orbitals in the valence shell. So the bonding which binds the metal atoms firmly, means strongly together on account of the force of attraction between metal ions and the mobile electrons is called metallic bonding. So the strength of the metal metallic bond depends on what? Number of valence electrons and also the charge on the nucleus. So if the number of valence electrons is more stronger metallic bond will be there. And if the charge on the nucleus is more stronger metallic bond will be there. So metallic bond is, the strength of metallic bond is directly proportional to charge of the nucleus of metal and also number of valence electrons. More the valence electrons, more stronger bond. More the charge on the nucleus, more stronger bond. As these increase, means these two means number of valence electrons and charge of nucleus increase, the metallic bond becomes what? Stronger. Okay, so like this magnesium and sodium, which is more stronger? Magnesium is having what? Stronger metallic bond. So the rest of the portion we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, bye. Good day.